please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
CNBC TV 18 Weekender, only on CNBC TV 18.
Welcome to a very, very special episode of The Weekender on CNBC TV 18. The reason why I call it very special is because of our guest today. Let me tell you a little about him. Well, he's a gold medalist from IIT. He's done his masters from Cornell. That's not all. He's also got a gold medal in playing the violin from Trinity College of London, no less. One of his innovations has saved a potential millions of lives, and he chose to just give it away. Guess what? I haven't even spoken about his business yet. Maybe you don't need to, because जो inspirational stories से करे प्यार, वो prestige से कैसे करे इनकार. Yes, you got it right. We have with us the man himself, Mr. T.T. Jagannathan. Thank you so much for inviting us to your beautiful facility. Before I talk about the business, the one thing that always fascinated me was the fact that you wore suspenders. Tell me a little about this. Where did this come by and how did this become your trademark?
It's not really a trademark, it's a necessity. And this happened because I was in the airport once.
Okay.
And my pants fell off. And I discovered that my body shape is such that if I don't wear suspenders, however tight I wear the belt, the pants can fall off. So that's when suspenders came.
You were living the good life in the US. Why would you come back to India to manage a family business which perhaps wasn't doing that well that time?
In 1972, my parents came to see me at Cornell and told me the bad news that the business was bankrupt. And that we owed a lot of money to a lot of people and that they needed help for me to come back and manage the business. I had an elder brother, but by that time he was an alcoholic. And so he could not help. My father joined the business when he was 17, and by this time he was 50, he was burnt out. So he wanted my help, and though I did not want, I had chosen life of academia. I wanted to be a professor, but as luck would have it, I landed up here to look after business with no experience at all in business. And what I found was a disaster that was much larger than they informed me. We were borrowing money at 40%.
Oh.
Now, when you borrow money at 40%, that's the downward spiral that you rarely get out of. I didn't know what to do. I was an engineer. I was not a financial genius. I was not an MBA. I was not none of that. So it was a tough go.
So what were the things that you did and what brought you to the kitchenware business?
What happened was I came to Chennai, found it was a disaster, and then decided to tackle the various losses and started with the worst loss, the biggest loss company, a company called Maps and Atlases, which was started as a company to make maps and atlases for the country, and it started in collaboration with a company called Bertelsmann, Germany, and they calculated 800 million people, 300 million children, so they'll need 100 million atlases and 300 million maps. So a factory to print that quantity was set up. Surprisingly, today, 40 years after that, we still sell less than 1 million atlases. So that company went bankrupt, obviously. So I went there first. And as luck would have it, turned it around.
Oh, and then after that you came to Bangalore?
After that, I was actually on honeymoon in the US. I'd got a telegram from my father to say, come back immediately.
What is with you going to the US and every time you go there you
Maybe I shouldn't go to the US. So I came back and my father was waiting in Chennai airport with the ticket for Bangalore and saying, tomorrow morning you're going to Bangalore to take over what was then called TT Limited, which is now called TT Prestige.
So how was your reception in Bangalore? You were well received?
No, I was not actually. I was considered a Madrasi by the Bangalore people. And this company in Bangalore was making profits. All the companies in Madras were not making profits. So they thought, what I will do is I will take all the money from here, send it to Madras and destroy the company. So when I came to TT Limited, they didn't let me inside.
So
I used police protection to go inside. They wouldn't let me sit in the managing director's chair. So I was sitting in a small chair and table chair in the corner. And I had to gain the respect. It was not possible that I could sack everybody. First, I didn't know what a pressure cooker was. I didn't know how it was made. I didn't know where it was sold. I had never used a pressure cooker.
So how do you gain the respect?
What happened was, as soon as I joined, there was no aluminium. There was huge shortage of aluminium those days. We got 10 tons a month. As opposed to our requirement then about 70 tons a month. We currently use 700 tons a month, by the way. And so we were, factories was not working. So the first thing I had to do was go to Delhi, sit there for 3 months to get an appointment with the aluminum controller. Those days it's all license permit, Raj. It was horrible. And when I finally got there and then represented the figures, convinced him that the old figures were wrong. And so we got a lot for 35 tons. That would only supply south.
Okay.
But we at least had something, so we started supplying south. So that was one of the things, because I got the factory working back, and they said, okay, this guy can do something for us.
Right.
And then, of course, the GRS story, that's when I really got...
What is the GRS story? In fact, I read a lot about the gasket release system. So I would like you to explain to me exactly what it is and what is this story, because it saved 1 million lives.
And we found that we were not selling outside south. There was no market because there was something going wrong. So I decided to go find out what was going wrong. And discovered that I traveled UP extensively and discovered that our pressure cookers were known to burst.
Oh.
And the pressure cooker bursting is not is dangerous. It could even kill. And I went to one of our dealers in Lucknow, and he showed me his store. He had dozens of Prestige pressure cookers that have burst. So we were losing market share because they don't buy Prestige, it will burst. We had to find out. I couldn't believe that we made pressure cookers that burst, because we were very good manufacturing. There's no question about that. So something else had to be the reason. So when I analyzed the reason, I found out it was a spurious safety block. A pressure cooker has a weight valve, which maintains the pressure, but sometimes it can get blocked. When it gets blocked, the safety device is supposed to open up and release the pressure. But safety device is made of a tin bismuth alloy, which is very expensive.
Okay.
So the spurious guys used to make it out of pure aluminum, which won't melt. And so when the weight valve gets blocked, the pressure cooker will burst. And when a Prestige pressure cooker bursts, it's very violent. Yeah. And so people were just off pressure cookers. So, and the company would have gone bankrupt if people knew that. So what happened was, I put on my thinking, thank God I was the engineer.
The IIT cap.
The IIT helped. Put on my thinking cap and came up with what is called the gasket release system.
Okay.
Actually, it's such a simple thing looking at it now that you wonder why nobody discovered it before. It's just a hole in the lid.
Okay.
But that hole in the lid, what it does is, it does not depend upon the safety plug for secondary safety. The gasket comes out through the hole in the lid and releases pressure if it exceeds cooking pressure.
You did not patent it?
No, it was in fact not a good idea to patent it for two reasons. One is that in the US this used to happen. Pressure cookers used to burst. So the US market went away from pressure cookers. That is something I wanted to avoid in India.
Okay.
And India is the largest market of pressure cookers in the world today.
Absolutely.
15 million pieces. If we'd allowed pressure cookers to burst, it wouldn't have happened. That was one. So I did not want pressure cookers to get a bad reputation. The second is, if a pressure cooker burst anywhere, everybody thought it was Prestige.
Okay.
So I had to avoid that conception also. So we came up with the idea that we won't patent it.
You said people would say, don't buy a Prestige pressure cooker, it will burst. Cut to, jo बीवी से करे प्यार, वो Prestige से कैसे करे इनकार. How did that shift happen, and how did that iconic line happen?
We had to communicate the fact that Prestige is very safe.
Right.
And you can do it with the engineering method, saying the excess pressure, if you do this, that happens. That doesn't help with the common man. They need to see it a little different. So we said we'll use the emotional route. And my then agency didn't agree with me. So I went to my friend Bunty Beerboy and I said, I want to do this for me. I want an iconic campaign that will emotionally express safety of the pressure cooker.
Right.
And his wife Sadhika was then the creative director of MAA, and she came up with this beautiful line, which we've used since, and it's been paraphrased by nearly everybody.
Absolutely.
2014 campaign, it was Jo Desh se kare pyar, wo Modi se kaise kare pyar.
In conversation with Mr. T.T. Jagannathan of TTK Prestige. Sir, let's talk about the present and the future of your business. At one point, just a few years ago, nearly 60% of your revenues would come from cookers. Now the company has become much more than that. From a Prestige in every kitchen, you've gone to a Prestige in every home. 35% of your revenues from cookers, 45% coming in from appliances. Where do you see the future of this company going forward? Say 5 years from now, how does your revenue mix look?
It won't be very different. We want to venture into the home space.
Okay.
And we're looking for possibility alternatives to acquire company. But I can't really predict what will be there in 5 years from now. We have decided that we will be 5,000 crores.
Okay.
And only 5% of that will come from home.
So 5,000 crore revenue is what you've guided for. You also spoke about 700 tons of aluminum and 120 tons of steel that you use every month. Input costs, they are constantly increasing. There is competitive pressure all over the place. How are you looking to maintain and grow your margins?
No, input costs growing not only for me, it's growing for the competition also.
Right.
So we pass on the input cost increases to the market. However, the cost goes up dramatically, the market growth slows down.
Okay.
Because the common man does not have more money to spend just because aluminum costs more money.
Right.
So hopefully it should not happen that it goes out of pocket for the man.
So at a 5,000 crore revenue profile of the company, which you say should happen in the next 5 years, what kind of margins would you be working at?
Similar margins as of today. We're being about 13.5% EBITDA margin. I think that should continue.
You are not looking to grow it to 15% or any more?
Very unlikely. In fact, we are the highest margin in the world in our business currently.
All right. And in the future, what innovations are you talking about? Because I remember you saying that, you're very close to a breakthrough in the microwavable pressure cooker space. In home appliances, you have some opportunities. What is the size there? And how close are you to innovations?
There are a lot of things we're working on. Lot of things.
Throw some light on some?
I don't think I can throw light on what will come to market. The problem with innovations is you can never predict when they will come to market and if they will come to market at all. You might come 99% on a product, the last 1% fails. So you won't come to market.
Let's talk about individual brands then. How big is Judge right now? Where do you see it, say, 5 years from now?
Judge is very small right now. It's about 5 crores a year.
Okay.
Where is it going to? 5 crores in 2,000 crores. So it's really, really small. Where do I see it going in future? Very slow. We don't want to cannibalize the Prestige brand. And people are under the wrong impression that rural markets want cheaper brands. They don't. Rural markets want the best brands and they're prepared to pay for it. The Judge brand is actually for urban markets to compete with the unorganized sector.
Oh, so in that case, you have a product offering to compete with the unorganized sector at the lower end. You have Prestige, which is mid to higher end. Premium, what are you doing out there?
We're looking at that too. We're looking at some Howard brands that will bring in the premium end.
And they haven't come to India yet, right?
Not yet. Not yet. A lot of work has to be done.
And Howard does about 10 crores per quarter in revenue. Where do you see that going forward?
Where do I see Howard revenue? In the UK, markets grow about 2% a year.
Okay.
If Howard is very good, they'll grow 2.5% a year. So that's about the rate at which they will grow.
But Howard brands coming into India,
that could be big. That could be big.
And when is that likely to be?
I think before end of this financial year.
Before end of this financial year. And in terms of your cleaning solutions business, you said it should contribute about 5% to the revenues. Apart from Hero, what are the products that you are?
Oh, we're in everything. We're the only complete cleaning solutions company in the country. We're in mops, we're in buckets, we're in air purifiers, we're in water purifiers, we're in vacuum cleaners, floor polishers, we're in everything.
So, but then there is so much more competition there as well, right? In cookers and cookware, you have limited competition. The minute you go into home appliances space, the range of competition increases.
I must correct you there. The largest competition in cookers, there are 600 brands.
Oh.
Yes. Absolutely the largest competition.
So if you guys can manage your leadership in the cooker brand,
that's right. Also, there's nobody in the cleaning solutions business. There are people in vacuum cleaner, there are people in water purifier, there are people in air purifier. They're all separate. There's nobody who approaches cleaning as one segment.
Ujjwala, what is the opportunity with that and how have you seen that grow so far?
Major opportunity. You see, you don't need a pressure cooker if you don't have gas.
Right.
Because if you have coal or wood, you neither save money and the time saved in the village is of no consequence. So till gas reaches, a pressure cooker doesn't go, and that's the first appliance that goes. With the Ujjwala scheme, we found major increase in rural markets. Wherever the Ujjwala scheme has been implemented effectively, we've seen demand for pressure cookers grow.
But your revenue then, growth was muted because of the GST demonetization disruptions as well. 19% is what you did in the last year.
Yes.
Going forward, 20-25%, is that on the cards?
I think low 20s.
Low 20s.
And that will be very, very good if it happens.
In appliances, which is the appliance that is gaining maximum salience right now?
Mixies and gas stoves.
And they will continue to lead the growth going forward.
Also, most of our innovations are in those areas.
Conversation with Mr. T.T. Jagannathan of TTK Prestige. Sir, let's wear your TTK Healthcare hat now. That company has about 20 different verticals.
Yeah, verticals. Yeah.
You have some verticals like the foods business and stuff as well. Is there scope for restructuring there?
There is actually. We are thinking of actually demerging foods from TTK Healthcare and setting up a separate company of foods so that we concentrate on foods. It's a big market in India and it's growing very rapidly, and we want to concentrate on that.
How much of revenue do you make from the foods business? And
Currently about 100 crores,
right,
but it has potential to do 1,000 crores in 5 years.
in 5 years, and you will demerge that before that or
Before that.
in the next fiscal?
I think so.
Mr. Jagannathan, 40 years in the business already. You were supposed to retire this May. You still are an active part of this business. Have you retired officially or not?
Actually, I proposed to my board that I retire as the executive chairman and continue as a non-executive chairman on my birthday, which is in May. My board refused.
Oh,
They said, no, you're not going now. You've got a lot of life left in you. Company needs you. So you stay on for another 5 years. So they gave me a 5-year extension. So I still come to work every day.
so for a business like this, which is so centered by the person who's running it, in this case, it is you. How do you make the structure much more institutionalized, and how do you reduce the dependence on you?
The last 20 years has been the effort. Now today I involve myself in product development and export. I don't run the company. It's completely run by professionals, and even these two areas I'm slowly getting out of.
So, you inherited the company from your father, who inherited it from his father. Your children, they're not an active part of the business. Any particular reason why you did not want them to come into the business, or they did not want to come?
It's more like they did not want to come into business, and there is a reason. We sat together one day when they were all at Cornell, and one day was sitting and talking to them about this, and the conversation went like this: that what gives me the impression that they will be as good as me in this business, and when I can get good professionals to run it, why not do that? They're the beneficiaries.
Right.
They are the shareholders in the company. So better the company runs, the more money they make. I mean, that story has been everywhere. No, you take for instance Walmart. Not a single Walton runs the business. They're all on the board. There are 6 of them. None of them run the business. And that is the case in India. Marico, Dabur. There are a lot of companies like that.
So you have no comms with the family not running the business?
I have no qualms at all.
All right, 40 years in the business, you're close to 70 now. You've completed
passed
70,
70.
you've passed 70. How do you look back at your life?
I took every day as it came. There was no master plan that I was going to become. I mean, if somebody had asked me 40 years ago, would you be sitting and talking to a TV channel, billionaire and what have you, I would have said no chance. So everything is by, you take it as it comes. What will I be doing, what I have done, it's all, I don't like to use the word fate, but it's chance.
You've described your father as the man who never hurt anybody. How would you like to be remembered?
I don't know whether I want to be remembered at all. That I think is too much of an ego. I think other people should tell me what they think of me. But I don't want a legacy. I don't want this to be a legacy and so on. Company will run.
Any regrets?
No, actually no. In fact, I must tell you, I have a bucket list.
Which is?
Which is empty.
That's the best bucket list to have.
Yes.
There's a lot of trivia that the world does not know about. I will say, did you know that? Put a character in front of you, you have to give me trivia. This is about your great-grandfather.
Yeah, my great-grandfather was one of the Triplicane Six, who were the rebels that started the Hindu to oppose the British press of that time.
Your grandfather?
My grandfather was in fact a character. He started the business, he quit and joined politics, and he was one of the 6 members of the Constitution Drafting Committee which wrote the Constitution, and one of the handwritten copies of the Constitution is in our library.
Your father, tell us a little about him.
My father was a visionary. Everything that he thought of was 30, 40 years ahead, which is one of the problems we had. The condoms, pressure cookers, cleaning of oil, toys, ball pens. I mean, the list goes on and on.
So he was the first person to bring all these to India?
All these to India, manufactured in India. A great visionary, but a man who was so soft and gentle that, you know, to run a business, you can't be too soft and gentle.
Tell us a little about your famous classmate. You went to school with someone.
Yeah, I went to school with Jayalalitha, yes. I don't know anything much about her. We were all children. And in those days, boys there was no boy. I mean, I just remember her as very pretty and very smart girl.
And then you met her later as she became the...
My cousin's wedding, she was invited to, she came and she sent for me.
Oh.
And so I went to see her and she said, "Do you remember me?" So I said, "Of course I remember you." And that's all we had.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You were quite a tennis player as well, and you played with what, the Amritraj brothers?
Yes, I did. And I was coached by the same coach, Mr. Ramarao. Again, I continued playing tennis, but through IIT, but after that I just dropped it. I switched to golf.
Finally, one message that you would like to give to all the entrepreneurs who are watching right now.
Don't ever give up. Look at the detailed big picture will look after itself. Go to work every day, work hard. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.